Konoha Invasion Part 2. Yeah, that's at least the title, or rather the prediction for Chapter 25, but before that, I'm Nim. But please help me push the algorithm by liking this video. Thanks, guys. So yeah, Konoha Invasion Part 2 is most likely the most appropriate title to predict a scenario that will occur in Chapter 25, if Ikemoto will reveal how to save the shinobi who became trees, especially Shinki and Mogi. But disclaimer guys, I'm not an accurate prophet, just a fan addicted to Boruto. So yeah, it is what it is. First of all, the prediction starts with a rescue scenario, and based on the updated future in Chapter 23, especially the snippet of the future that shows Himawari, Inojin, and also Mamushi, it seems like I found another clue. In other words, Shinju priority. After Ryu and Matsuri were defeated and their Thor souls were taken by Konohamaru's team, of course, Jura, as the leader, had lost 2 of his comrades. Although the end of Chapter 24 left us confused and questioning, especially the end of the Kawaki and Jura fight, which was not even slightly unexpected, Jura's reaction was also a big question mark. Everyone, including myself, has such high expectations that Kawaki, or even Jura itself, will show its true potential and will make one of them lose or even retreat. Whether Jura or Kawaki, and what actually happened between them was that they both retreated. Kawaki and Boruto retreated, while Jura let them both escape so easily, without any resistance or anything, after 2 of Jura's comrades were defeated and their Thorn Souls stolen. Though, judging from the final result where Jura was not serious, this should be a pretty good opportunity to get them both cornered. But yeah, expectations are just expectations. But if we return to the main topic about predictions, especially the Konoha Invasion Part 2, of course this raises 2 possibilities, especially about Mamushi. And again, this leads to Matsuri, or Moegi. Could it be that Jura, having lost 2 of his comrades, could only surrender and not come up with another strategy? I mean, would he just let Konoha take Matsuri's Thorn Soul and let Moegi go free? And based on my prediction, Ikemoto wants to make this an unpredictable scenario. That's right. If in the panel part of Chapter 24, Koji has stated that the worst that could happen next is Ada. Mamushi was on the move and she was the target. But what has become a habit or culture of Ikemoto is to make things that cannot be guessed easily by the fandom. In other words, when Mamushi is supposed to move and target Ida, the first thing he does is to thwart them from freeing Moegi. And this would create a second scenario that would relate to the panel cut, where Himawari also appears in the updated future. That is, while Mamushi is trying to thwart Konoha's shinobi from freeing Moegi before Mamushi moves on to target Ida, Jura comes as a distraction to split Konoha's focus. That is, there is another possibility of Jura continuing his mission to track Naruto. But since in the previous case, Jura had been surprised that he was supposed to sense Naruto's presence, and instead it was Himawari, then it means that Jura's arrival was to continue what had previously failed because of Boruto's rescue of Himawari. And why I can be this sure about Jura's invasion, especially continuing what had previously failed, is of course none other than Himawari's expression in the updated future cut. It was the same expression when Himawari met with Jura. But in your opinion, would you agree with me if the updated future cut is the scene where Jura and Himawari will fight again? But at least apart from Himawari and Jura, Hidari's moment when he broke Jura's expression and made Jura's previously happy statement change instantly, this is a new clue. Because of a statement he had just learned, somehow it triggered an internal conflict between the 2 of them. Jura, who felt happy to have just been praised by Kawaki, was called disgusting by Hidari, and that was based on a vocabulary or concept he had just learned. But even though it can't be completely concluded that Jura and Hidari are the cause of an internal conflict, at least the difference in income or even mindset between the 2 is also a problem trigger for the other. In other words, the Hidari will continue to learn and understand many things, especially about love. Initially, Hidari showed an innocent expression when Jura, Mamushi, and himself talked about love. Although Jura had concluded that love was a fatal human weakness, at that time, Hidari still showed an expression that did not understand or even suspect whether love was a disease or not. But this is what makes me assume wildly. Jura, who is currently focusing his research on love, there is a possibility that Hidari has another perception that could even be the opposite of what Jura is researching. It means that Hidari doesn't like or have any interest in the definition or concept called love. But guys, if the fact is that Hidari will become the Shinju who is the opposite of Jura, then at least there are some possibilities that might happen going forward. One possibility is that Jura might start to see Hidari as a failed product, or a seed that is evolutionarily stuck and not developing. And of course, this is still related to Hidari's earlier statement about whether love is some kind of disease or not. If Jura is interested in a concept of love that, according to his research, is the trigger for the evolution of a power awakening or something like that, the existence of Hidari appears as its antithesis, or can also be referred to as the opposite contract in meaning, nature, and purpose. As I said before, perhaps Hidari will initially believe that love is a symbol of weakness, making one doubt, or even Hidari can also find out that love once made strong Otsutsuki to be defeated or betrayed like Kaguya. And indirectly, this would make Hidari a much more ideologically dangerous enemy, as it would go against his pure ideology as a divine tree human. Or even, as many people predict, Hidari will become a traitor to the other divine tree humans, especially to Jura himself as the leader. However, even assuming that Hidari would become a traitor, this was something that still made sense. Apart from the fact that Hidari is the manifestation of Sasuke, Hidari has also shown a clue or sign that there are some things that are very contrary to the Jura itself as the leader. But what do you think, guys? But if we return to the main topic, namely the second part of the Konoha invasion, at least only those 2 points are the most ideal for me to happen in chapter 25. Actually, there are still several predictions that might happen, but somehow predicting about Mamushi, Jura, and Himawari is the most exciting in my opinion. Especially, Himawari will not be allowed to leave Konoha. Meanwhile, Moigi's body is also in Konoha. Boruto and the others, it is clear that they will all teleport to Konoha and the Thorn Soul that was previously secured by Konohamaru, so it makes the most sense to save Mogi. But of course, interventions will continue to occur. Oh yeah, at least if chapter 25 only focuses on 2 future pieces that happened in chapter 23, predicting those 2 things is what I think is most suitable. But that prediction could become an exception if it's Code's turn now. Yeah, since Code's movements haven't been revealed for quite a while, it makes sense that the slow phase that has left several chapters hanging will be unveiled in chapter 25. But once again, guys, this is just a prediction from a Boruto addict. However, if you have another prediction that's more legit, exciting, or even makes sense, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye bye, Dada Bio.